All right, so we are continuing on with our theme for the month, Fully Robed, which is backed by our theme for the year, which is oneness, a day at a time. And this morning we are engaging in spiritual principles, also known as what we believe, penned by Ernest Holmes some 100 years ago. You can get a copy of the spiritual principles if you use the QR code in the back of your chair, or simply, like I said, by doing a search online, Ernest Holmes and What We Believe. This morning we are getting anchored in spiritual principle number 1, and it says, we believe in God, the living spirit, almighty one, indestructible, absolute, and self-existent cause. We believe this one manifests itself in and through all creation, but is not absorbed by its creation. We believe that the manifest universe is the body of God. It is the logical and necessary outcome of the infinite self-knowingness of God. Spiritual principle number 2, we believe in the individualization of the spirit in us, and that all people are individualizations of the one spirit. That means we believe that God and I are one. Spiritual principle number 5, we believe the ultimate goal of life to be a complete freedom from all discord of every nature, and that this goal is sure to be attained by all. And finally, spiritual principle number 9, we believe in the healing of the sick and control of conditions through the power of this mind. Now, last week we started our theme by saying that each of us wear a heavenly robe. Though it may not be seen by the human eye, nonetheless, it is still there. Our robes consist of fine linen, rubies, and precious gems. And these rubies and gems become precious evermore with time. This robe that we are fully robed in, that we put on, and in some ways are never without it, or in many ways, I should say, our robe represents the truth that each of us know. Whatever truth that is, we have to come to understand that it is sufficient. The truth that springs from each of us, this inner unfoldment of truth, in a way that is perfect for you and a way that is perfect for me. For some of us, it might be the old prayers that we know. If it's the truth you know, use it and work with it. Perhaps it's a song, as the choir sang, that leads you into a state of deeper unfoldment where that which is within finds avenue and expression in your life, and takes over. Makes you dance even when you don't want to dance. It's this truth that is within each of us. It's attained through our conscious union with God. Our practice, our time spent in meditation, our time spent in contemplation, our time spent in prayer. And then it is the human experience of it. Where something happens in our life that is unexpected and perhaps unexplainable, but is the proof of our prayer. That's how we come to know these truths. So this teaching, some come to it to obtain things. They enter in that way. The house, the car, the mate, the money. And that's okay. That's okay, because we need those things, the food. But at some point in time, when you are engaged in a teaching, the only thing that one is seeking to obtain is a conscious union with God. And that's it. And we have to be able to make the distinction there, because the practitioner can pray for you and the practitioner can help you get the house. But it is on us to obtain a conscious union with God. There ain't nobody that can do it for you. I can't do it for you. It's something we all have to do for ourselves. As I said, we all at some degree know truth. The prayer, the song, the affirmation that resonates with us. And certainly, as I said last week, we should work with it as we are discerning within ourselves truth. And one way we do that, as I said last week, is that we are conscious and aware, making sure that what we used to believe doesn't get in the way of what we are coming to believe, that it doesn't get in the way of what we deeply believe. So, what do we believe? Those of us who are on a spiritual adventure, what do we believe? Let me say it to you like this. We don't believe that you have to be good, but we do believe that you have to be God-like. Anybody can be good, but not everybody can be God-like. In other words, we have to own our oneness. We believe, as the principles state, we believe that there will be discordant experiences. As if it wouldn't be stated in the principles. We are not here believing that there will not be things that happen in our life that we would prefer would not have happened. Conditions. So, with the discordant experiences and with the conditions in our lives that might not be the conditions that we want, we believe that what comes along with that is a conscious choice. We can react or we can respond to the conditions that come to us. That's a conscious choice. You see, our robes are there to remind us of our agency. The agency that we have in our lives, the power we have in our lives. And as we said last week, we are coming to understand that we should not abandon the truth in a time of need. Ours is a work of abiding in the truth. Ernest Holmes, as I said last week, said to abandon the truth in a time of need is not to know the truth. To not be willing to sing the song when you need to sing the song, to not be willing to pray the prayer, to speak the affirmation, whatever it is that you know that lives within you, it's to abandon the truth. So, our theme of oneness, it clarifies our work. And that is to come to know, as the choir is saying, that God is. We are moving away from God and. In fact, our coming to realize it in our life that God is, it is our only work. There is no God and. There is no two. There's only one. There is no good and evil. There is no right or wrong. There's only one. And trust me, it is holy work. It's holy work to take up our sword and to stop fighting. It's holy work. Matter of fact, you should probably remind your neighbor, tell your neighbor, stop fighting. Stop fighting. Yeah, and tell your other neighbor, stop fighting. Yeah. Somebody said stop. I was talking to someone who works with children recently, and their job is to help children gain another perspective. When things are going on in their lives, they offer them different perspectives. And so they were telling me about a little boy that they were working with, and they asked the little boy a question: how do you handle things when things go wrong? And this little boy is all of 25 pounds soaking wet, as they tell me the story. And so when he was asked, he answered, he said, "Eyes fight." When things don't go my way, eyes fight, and eyes scream, and eyes holler, right? Well, I got a sneaky suspicion that some of y'all around here, when asked, eyes fight. What you do when things go wrong? I scream. What you do? What you do, Mary? Eyes holler. Eyes fight. Oh, what about oneness? What about God? No, eyes fight. Eyes fight. God and these fists. That's what it is. Oh, God. A pertinent question then that we should be asking ourselves is, how does one know if they are abiding in the truth? How do we know? Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind's textbook on page 459, in a reading titled The Two Great Commandments, he says this about the truth. He says, the truth is positive, but not combative. It is sure of itself, but never argumentative. It loves sincerity and abhors deceit. Above all else, the truth is wise. It represents the all-seeing eye from which nothing can be hidden. The student of truth, that's you and that's me, will receive all that comes in the name of the Lord, that is, all that is of the truth. All else will fall by its own weight. The truth. How do you know if you're abiding in the truth? Well, it's never, keyword, never argumentative. It is non-combative. It abhors deceit, and above all else, it's wise. It's open to seeing another perspective. That's how you know whether or not you are abiding in the truth. Don't worry, we'll be back next Sunday. And I hope some of you will join me, because I'll definitely be here. I got some work to do. These fists, you know what I'm saying? So, above all else, it is wise, the all-seeing eye from which nothing can be hidden. Some of you might know of this eye or rather have heard of it as the eye of Horus. Some of you might be familiar with it. And in that realm, it often is a symbol of protection. But in our theme of oneness and being fully robed, there is nothing that we need protection from. And as Joel Goldsmith reminded us last week, our work is to see the no power in the thing that appears to have power. And that's it. To see the no power in the thing that appears to have power. It is the arm of flesh, as the Bible would state. It is nothing appearing to be real. Whatever that is for you. So, to be fully robed, to walk out in our essence and our oneness, to embrace our oneness and to own our oneness, we affirm that God is omnipotence. We affirm that God is omniscience. We affirm that God is omnipresence. In the 23rd Psalm, you might be familiar with, and in one of the oldest translations of the 23rd Psalm, you might not be so familiar with it in this way. It says it like this: the Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. The Lord is, or God is. I lack nothing. It goes on to say in Psalm 23, yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Anybody who's fully robed must be engaged in the essence of this psalm. God is. I lack nothing. Try that on for a minute. Say to yourself, I lack nothing. Nothing. I lack nothing. And yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. In the collected essays of Joel Goldsmith, he says this on page 93 and 94 of a reading titled, The Practical Interpretation of the 23rd Psalm. And in it he says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. This is truly a miracle of prayer. As you have experienced periods of trial and tribulation, serious illness, family troubles, lack, limitation, loss of fortune, has it not seemed natural to feel that somehow you've become separated from God? In some manner, you had slipped away from God. For some reason, God was not with you, and thus, having lost contact, you must now get back to God. Now, you can see the error of your thinking. Even as he walks through the valley of the shadow of death, he cannot fear. Yet, that is not true of us. The fear begins for one reason only: lack of the full realization that God is going through the valley of the shadow of death with us. Behold here a whole new concept of prayer. We are not trying to get God to be with us on this trek through the valley of the shadow of death. We are not reaching out for God. We're not even trying to have our fears stilled, since this recognition that God walks with us doesn't always save us from that walk through the valley of the shadow of death. But at least, if we are called upon to face the valley of the shadow of death, this statement tells us God walks through it with us. Thou art with me. If you would just take that one statement and realize what difference does it make what the present valley of the shadow of death is? What difference does it make what particular trial you are going through, as long as you know with all the confidence within you that God is walking through the valley of the shadow of death with you? God is walking through this trial with you. What difference does it make? When I read that, the words came to me simply: stop running. The invitation is to walk and not to run, not to hide, not even to jog, but to walk, to be present to the presence that's within us, to affirm and know that God is and I lack nothing. Thou art with me. And when we say thou art with me, we're not talking about something outside of us. Thou art with me. The truth that you already know is with you. Put your fists down. Stop screaming and stop acting a fool. You know what I'm saying? I'm only talking to myself. But thou art with me. The principles does not suggest, as I said before, that there will be no discord. There will be that there will be experiences that makes us doubt. There will be experiences that will make us doubt. And while it's making us doubt, it's also taking us deeper into truth. We doubt. Sometimes we doubt that our truth is sufficient enough. Sometimes we even doubt that we have truth or that we know the truth. And sometimes in life there'll be moments of sadness that might linger longer than we would like. And we doubt that it will ever end. Sometimes I struggle to turn away at times from our loved ones. Or sometimes there's times in our lives when our loved ones have turned away from us. And the pain can feel like it's too much to bear. Parker Palmer, who is an author and an activist, he suggests this. He says that the deeper our faith, the more doubt we must endure. The deeper our hope, the more prone we are for despair. The deeper our love, the more pain it is when there is loss. These are a few paradoxes we must hold as human beings. And if we refuse to hold them in the hopes of living without doubt, despair, and pain, we also find ourselves without faith, without hope, and without love. The one who is fully robed must, at all times, in the morning when we rise, in the middle, noonday, and at night, we must be reminding ourselves to stop fighting and to stop running, to stop screaming, to walk and don't run. Sounds like kindergarten, right? Stop fighting, stop running, stop screaming, stop yelling, and begin to affirm as we realize that we are robed in gems and jewels that have been there since the beginning of time. And every time we have an experience of life where we turn inner and there's a greater realization on the outer, we know we're moving in the right direction. Let us affirm then that I lack nothing. I lack nothing. Don't run and let me get still enough to see something new. Don't run. Let us get still enough to sense something new and to see something new. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. Though I walk through the valley of death, I shall fear no evil, for thou is with me. The truth that I know is sufficient, and the truth that you know is sufficient. Practitioners, let us pray. Let us take this moment then just to deepen, to turn inner and evermore, allowing ourselves simply to recognize that there is only one life, not two. And everything in it has been called forth by the one mind. And let us affirm and know that we are in this one mind, that its power is our power. Its wisdom is our wisdom. Its strength is our strength. Ever one with it, I know that we can never be separate and apart from it. And so in it then, let us affirm and know today that we lack nothing, that whatever the experience may be in our lives, we are full of it. All that God stuff. We are full of high and holy ideas. We are full of songs and poetry. We are full of memories of love. And it is sufficient into whatever is before us. I affirm for you, as I affirm for myself, that the time is now to put our fists down. That today we declare and we decree we are no longer screaming and yelling. We become non-combative, arguing no more with the truth. And in it I affirm and know that this truth sets us free again and again and again and again. I do give thanks for this great realization. I do give thanks to be able to speak these words today, to affirm for you and affirm for me that I own my oneness. You ain't got to tell me. I know I'm robed. There's gems and beauty within me that I can always call upon, that is sufficient for whatever my need may be and whatever your need may be. So I am grateful. And I'm moved in this moment just simply to gather the words that have been spoken, the songs that have been sang, that God is. There is no such thing as God and. We take all these words, the love and the eye contact, the glance, the reminding, the remembrance of our true selves. We take it all with us. We take it in where the word becomes flesh. And each of us begin to demonstrate in our lives, I lack nothing. Thou art ever with me. There is no place that I can go that God is not. There is no place in my mind that I can go where love does not take over. There's no place I can go in my mind where the truth does not prevail. There's no place I can go in my mind where lies is sufficient. No, the truth is sufficient. God is. God is. We just simply let these words go. We let them be, and together we come together in agreement by saying, and so it is. Yes, and so as we journey on throughout our week, let me remind you that there is no God and these fists. Let me remind you, don't run, walk. For thou art with me. And so it is.